Let's preview tonight's Spurs Pelicans game. King James and SA, and let's put the spotlight on Malaki Branham.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the San Antonio Spurs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs and the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. TGIF, everybody. Weekend's here. Hope you all have a good one. Hey, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You want to go check out FanDuel right now and make every moment more with FanDuel. Right now, new customers get themselves $200 in bonus bets if their bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Hey, what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at tonight's game. Just real quick preview, Spurs Pelicans. And then we're going to bring in our guest, Vinnie Vinzetta, my colleague at Ken's 5. We're going to be discussing, apparently Vegas has odds that the Spurs are the number one spot for LeBron James if he does leave the Lakers. We're going to be discussing that and then put the spotlight on Malaki Branham. But first, Spurs Pelicans tonight. Let's see what's going to happen and what's going to go down. So your Spurs come into tonight's game 10-38. Pelicans are 27-21. Let's rewind the clock a bit. The Spurs are coming off a loss to the Magic at home, 108-98. Wemby, he had 21 points and 8 rebounds. Sohan had 18 points and 12 rebounds. And Devin Vassell had 26 points. Trey Jones added 8 points and 8 assists. As far as the injury report is concerned, Dominic Barlow, Zach Collins, and Keldon Johnson are all questionable. And uniform watch, the Spurs will be in their icon jerseys today versus New Orleans. All right, let's take a look at tonight's contest. As always, we look at the opposition first. So when it comes to defense, Spurs got themselves a handful because New Orleans is one of the best. Let's start off with the first thing to keep an eye on for, and that is steals per game, courtesy of the Pelicans. Yeah, they ranked 4th in the NBA in steals at 8.0 a game, and ranked 8th in NBA in deflections at 15.2. Spurs might have themselves an issue on the defensive end as far as going on offense on New Orleans. You know where I'm going with on this. So got to keep an eye on the Spurs, how they're going to handle that New Orleans defense. Also, how to handle the big guy. Yeah, Zion Williamson. He's averaging 17.2 points per game in the paint this season. That's good for second in the NBA. That'd be kind of a good thing to watch for, Wemby and Zion in the middle. I know Valanciunas will have something to say about that, but to see how Zion is going to use maybe his big girth, his weight on Wemby when he's attacking the rim. And, Wemby's length should cause problems for Zion. So keep an eye on that as the game progresses. Additionally, 3-point shooting from New Orleans, especially from CJ McCollum. He's shooting 43% from the 3-point line this season, ranked 1st in the NBA for any player attempting 7 or more threes in a game. So keep an eye on CJ McCollum. You don't want him to get hot and don't want him to open that 3-point shot. The 3-point shot, defending it at least, has been an issue for the Spurs this season. Sometimes we've seen teams just go off on the 3-line. Hopefully the Spurs don't see that happening for CJ tonight. Now, on the Spurs side of things, well, let's just say Pelicans have not been the game or the team they want to see on the opposite end of the court. The Spurs have lost 6 in a row to New Orleans. So hopefully the Spurs can snap that streak tonight at the Frost. And finally, this is the first game of a back-to-back set for the Spurs. They play tonight and then they play tomorrow. Then that should wrap up the 7-game homestand. But the good news is the Spurs are just below 500 on the first game of a back-to-back. They're 3-4. Hopefully they can even that out versus New Orleans. There you go, your quick preview tonight's Spurs-Pelicans game. By the way, the Spurs are down 0-2 in the regular season to the Pelicans. So hopefully they can break that streak as well. But coming up next, Vinnie Vinzetta, my colleague at Ken's 5, we're going to discuss that LeBron James, San Antonio, bet, online odds, and number one, all that good stuff, or maybe bad stuff for you guys. And then we're going to put in the spotlight Malaki Branham. That's coming up next on Locked On Spurs. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel, and happy Super Bowl to everyone, for everyone who celebrates that big day. Well, also greetings from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Look, if you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about the scoring, the best seat on the couch. getting that favorite snack you like, watching the commercials, and maybe placing some super bets. Yeah, it's about that time, everybody. FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a W or 1 or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which players will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. New customers, you want to listen up, join today. You'll get yourself $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Simple as that. You want to go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Look, I get the app. You should get the app too. So much fun. Very easy to use. And like I said, Super Bowl's around the corner. Have fun with it with FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Hey, San Antonio, did you stay up late last night watching the Spurs game? Or maybe you need yourself just a pick-me-up to get you through the day? Or do you just want a delicious treat? Then look no further than Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Mudslingers is locally owned, independent coffee shop, and they proudly support Locked On Spurs, and they proudly serve the San Antonio community, and they make delicious coffee for our community. They do it fast, friendly, so you can get on with your day. So if you're in the mood for a latte, cold brew, Red Bull infused Lightning Bolt series, they have a drink for every single taste in San Antonio. They have a wide selection of dairy alternatives, low-calorie options, caffeine-free drinks for those who just want to take it easy, and they got mini donuts. They got specialty drinks like the OG OJ. They have it all only at Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. You want to go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee right now, San Antonio, for that tasty, convenient caffeine fix. They are at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. That's near 281 and 1604. Again, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Open every single day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Find them on the socials, X, Facebook, I keep calling it Twitter, but now it's X, Threads. I mean, the list goes on, and they're very interactive. They love interacting with you guys on social media. And perhaps they'll make you a drink in your honor if you pitch it to them. Yeah, check them out. Life is too short for bland coffee. And we are back right here on Locked On Spurs with the Vin Dog himself, Vinnie Vinzetta, my colleague at Ken's 5. Follow him on X at VVinzetta. And he's been showing up to Spurs games a lot more. I like that. I like that you're there. Keep me company for a little while, Vinny.
Well, the pregame food, the Spurs do a good job, and they actually had an ice cream bar a couple of days ago. They were talking my language. So yeah,
there you go. Is that your weakness, ice cream?
It can be. You really any dessert, anything is a weakness for me. So you throw it out there. I'm going to say, let's do this.
You know what? This is probably a good thing, and maybe also a bad thing. It's a good thing that I know this. Maybe a bad thing also as well that I do know this. So I'm a big nerd, as everybody knows. So guess who is fond of ice cream? Like, this is her kryptonite. It's Wonder Woman.
Ah, okay. I was going to guess someone from Star Wars, but Wonder Woman.
No, Wonder Woman is a big ice cream fan. If you look at any movie, comic, she'll see like an ice cream truck or a stand, and she'll be, okay, time for ice cream. So, I mean, hey, Vinny, it's not that bad to have something like that in common with Wonder Woman, if you know what I mean.
No, and if an ice cream break is right in front of you, you got to handle your business. You know what I'm talking about?
All right. So, Vinny and I, we're going to be discussing some Bet Online basically put out their odds. And thank you, Vinny, for bringing this to my attention too. That LeBron James, if he were to exit the Lakers after this season, would it be New York? Wouldn't it be Miami? Wouldn't it be return home to Cleveland? His next home could be, according to Bet Online, the San Antonio Spurs. Let's just say that when I saw that, you showed it to me at the Frost Center, I had to do a double take. Am I really seeing that right? Let's talk about that. One, do we think it will happen? And then two, why would it make sense if that were to plan out?
Well, I was shocked when the email came across my desktop that the Spurs had the best odds, as you mentioned, next season to land LeBron if he doesn't return to the LA Lakers. And I was like, wow, let me think about this initially. Is this simply because the world wants to see LeBron paired with Wemby, and it may be as simple as that? The Spurs have a summer of money again to toss out there to the world, and they're one of the, that they're now a hot landing destination because of the young core and Wembanyama. So it was crazy to see. I would confess I would have expected to see many other names as the odds-on big free agent fish to land here, not him, because I still don't know if it's a win right now destination. They're still kind of building this thing, and I would submit, Jeff. I mean, the man will be 40 years old, and he's the greatest passer of all time and top 5 of all time. But he'll be 40 years old in December. So I saw the same email that I got posted on a Spurs Nation Facebook page, and moreover, every fan response was no. So the reaction has been interesting so far to this.
It really has. And look, personally, I don't see it happening, but let's just play devil's advocate. Why it would work. Well, one, what's this thing that everybody's talking about this season with the Spurs? Lack of a proven veteran. We can't get more proven and veteran than LeBron James. I think he would fit to that role with the Spurs. I mean, I think he would command the locker room, command the court with the players, these young players. And I think he would infuse a little bit of that dog mentality on this young roster. So there's that pro. Perhaps one of the biggest cons is, well, he needs touches too, and all the touches should be going to Wemby, so he could be ball dominant in that sense. Do you see any reason why the Spurs would entertain this outside of the veteran factor?
No, I don't. A lot of people would say that LeBron is kind of a program killer. I mean, it looks like right now he's on the way to getting Darvin Ham fired from the LA Lakers, and he needs to suddenly play at point and get his touches. And LeBron too can kind of be the drama quotations king sometimes, and he brings a lot with him. So I see. I don't want to use the term negatives because we're talking LeBron James here, but I just see more reasons in my mind that it wouldn't and shouldn't work than it would. Now, are the Spurs suddenly in every primetime window? Yes. Does it just overflow with enthusiasm? Yes. Does it get everybody's attention? Yes. Do maybe not just fans, but other players want to come here suddenly? Yes. I mean, so there's a lot of things, but it also doesn't seem like the Spurs way. We hear that term thrown out a lot. And then I will say on the other side, he doesn't appear to me to have slowed down very much at 39.
No,
like he's the NBA Tom Brady. Like he might be able to do this until almost 45 years old. I mean, look, Father Time's going to win. That's that's inevitable. That will happen. But it's fun to think about. But when I think about the plan that Brian Wright must have for the future, this doesn't seem to be it, unless something crazy happens, Jeff, like LeBron has in his basketball mind. I can have me, Wemby, and Bronny. Let's draft Bronny to the Spurs and have all three of us in San Antonio. Have you thought about that?
I have thought about that, but I don't know if Bronny is going to be a top 10, let alone a top 5 pick.
Right.
That's the thing. He would definitely, I think the way this projector right now might slip out of the first round into the second round. Well, now the Spurs do have plenty of picks next season. They do have a second round pick, so it's still a possibility. But you're from the business side of it, you definitely get why the Spurs would want that to happen. Ticket sales will go off the roof. I mean, it's just flying off there. Then obviously the prime time, you mentioned TV spots. San Antonio would be must-see TV also on the road, as far as ticket sales for road games. So there's that. And there's also the Pop and LeBron factor. They have mutual respect for one another. They have a big bromance. Every time the Spurs played the Lakers, or was it the Cavs or the Miami Heat, or wherever, it was LeBron this about Pop and Pop about LeBron this and that. So there's that. And of course, too, I believe, Vinny, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that Pop – no. Pop was a head coach with Team USA. LeBron was not on it, right?
I was just thinking about that. I'd have to double check my math.
Okay.
LeBron was not on that team.
I don't think he was. No.
KD was the big star.
KD was on the star, right?
Game Time was on that team too. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. But so there's that pairing that finally the pairing of Pop and LeBron. And if what a way for them to close out the careers, than having that under their belt. There's also maybe the challenge. Maybe LeBron has been there, done that, and then the challenge of rising up and bringing up from the ashes a team that's looking to get out of their rebuild. There's that could he be that missing piece for the Spurs' return to glory? But all in all, I'm with you. I think as much as he will be a Hall of Famer, he is a Hall of Famer. I just don't think it'll be a good fit. The Spurs can afford to pay him. There's no doubt about that. They have the money to do it and pieces to move around to make it happen. But ultimately, I just don't think it, because I would love to see Wemby become that main focus point, continue to be that. Because if LeBron comes, then he is automatically the guy.
And right now,
he's in 40, yeah.
Right now, every team that rolls through the Frost Bank Center, or even when the Spurs play on the road, what's one of the things you hear in every opponent's postgame? That Wemby's on his way to becoming the face of the league. And so that would get delayed by, a couple of 2 or 3 years if LeBron comes here. Yeah,
there's that. So I think the focus should be on Wemby. And look, at the end of the day, let me ask you, let's just say you wake up in the morning in the offseason and you see news came out that LeBron is going to sign with the Spurs. Would you be mad? Would you be upset with that?
No, I think I would hop out of bed and have to make sure I'm clean shaven and have on a shirt and tie, because I'm gonna be working a long day. But initially off the top, it would sound like almost hard to believe it would be an incredible day because as you said, it's LeBron James. That name still moves meters, and even though people would have a lot of opinions on both sides of the fence, it would still be a stunning day that everybody would just be blown away that it would be happening. Yeah.
At the end of the day, do you see it happening, Vinny? I don't.
I don't. I keep looking for new emails, Jeff, from these folks in Sin City to see if the odds have changed, but I haven't seen one since.
Yeah. Look, they say Vegas knows all. Look, Vegas predicted the Spurs would have a bad season, be one of the worst teams in the league. You and I, we scoffed at that. You and I did a TV show about it together, and we were on the same page. No way, Vegas is out of their mind. And lo and behold, look at the Spurs right now.
I didn't have them being anything special, but I will confess, I said 37 regular season wins. I'm way off.
Yeah, I had, I think, low 30s, like 30, if I remember the tape correctly, 32, 33, around there. But even then, they're at, as of this recording, at 10. So, yeah, way off. Vegas somehow knows, Vinny. I don't know how they know. Vegas always knows. Never bet against the house.
I'm highly impressed by those guys. I mean, seriously, when it comes to whatever pro sport, and the NBA in this case, they honestly do know more often than not. It's remarkable.
Yeah, exactly. So
they study every trend.
They do. Yeah, they I mean, their charts and graphs and who knows, AI, whatever they're using. I mean, must be top notch for them to nail some of these projections. But hey, I don't know about you Spurs fans, but I wouldn't be too quick to play your bet on that. I just don't think LeBron will want to come to a rebuilding situation. And then you got to think of Bronny too, Vinny. Would you want dad on your team, or would you want to be your own person, your own man, instead of having had dad there?
Well, I don't know. I would answer that this way. It feels like that's what LeBron, dad, wants the plan to be like. He wants to play with him, and I can only assume that Bronny wants to play with him. But what a fascinating scenario that would be, like in this far off galaxy, if we had those two and Wemby in San Antonio. I'd have to cover nothing else but Spurs. It would be too exhausting.
It would not be exhausting at all. Hey, but we're done talking about LeBron James. We want to hear about you. What do you think? Vegas out of their mind right now? Let Vinny know on X at Vinzetta. You see it on your screen. Make sure you give him a follow. Let him know what you think about his takes. But coming up next, we're going to keep Vinny on the hot seat a little bit. We're going to put him back on the hot seat because his guy, Malaki Branham, the guy he said that he would want a jersey of preseason, start of the season. Well, what happened? Now, he got some burn recently against the Magic, but we're going to talk about that. That's coming up next. What is going on with Malaki with Vinnie Vinzetta right here on Locked On Spurs? Before we continue our chat with Vinny, I want to talk to you about PrizePicks. You got to go to PrizePicks right now. Get that app. Put it on your mobile device. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest, most exciting way to play DFS. And it's just you against the numbers. You don't have to worry about the pros, the sharks. Look, it's just you versus the numbers. That's it. You pick more than or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections, And hopefully, and I'm pretty sure you will, cross your fingers, see those winnings coming in. Hey, look, PrizePicks, we already mentioned it's easiest, most exciting way to get involved, with the NBA season or whatever sport you're with. But, they got quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, enormous selection of players and stat types that make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. They even offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this basketball season. And they offer weekly promotions like Taco Tuesday. So each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to give even more value. What do you think about that, huh? No reason for you to go get PrizePicks. Look, don't waste time. Go get it right now. I have it. You should get it too. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedon. Use code LOCKEDONNBA. That'll get you $100 match on your first deposit. Once again, prizepicks.com/LOCKEDONNBA. Code is LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
This is Emily Swallow, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
We are back with the Hulk. Oh, that's not the Hulk. That's Vinnie Vinzetta. We're here with Vinnie Vinzetta. Sorry, I got thrown off by your mask there, Vinnie. Sorry about that.
Hey, at least you didn't say Wonder Woman, so I'm all good.
He is the Vin Dog, Vinnie Vinzetta, my colleague at Kens5. Follow him on X at VVinzetta. Do that right now. Vinnie, I'm gonna have to put you on a little bit of a hot seat here. A couple of days ago, we were at the game, Spurs Magic, and we were just talking about Malaki. Then during the game, you're sitting at the end of the row, on the same row with me, but just further out, and you're looking at me because we saw Malaki go in, and he's your guy. He racked up quite a few did not play coaches' decisions on the stat sheet, but he finally got us some time versus the Magic. What do you think is going on with Malaki? He's your guy. He's the jersey you want to go get. What do you think just happened?
My best guess is that in this time of trying to figure out who they are and who they want to be around for the future, if you're not delivering meaningful stuff and meaningful minutes, you might find yourself down there at the end. And I can only speculate that that's what may have happened. I don't know if it's necessarily Jeff, the doghouse, but maybe he just almost, to use one of those playoff rotation terms, he's just managed to find his way toward the end of the bench. He got some meaningful minutes in that blowout loss to the Thunder. Well, I say meaningful. What I meant to say is not meaningful minutes in that blowout loss to the Thunder. And other than that, he's been getting just a few minutes in each game. So, I was on the Malaki train in the preseason. Maybe I didn't consider how much of a disaster last season was too, but he seemed to play free. And I love that silky smooth jumper. And maybe there's a little bit of confidence loss in there, but suddenly he's not figuring in at all. And you mentioned a few days ago against the Magic, just a couple of minutes, hit a couple of buckets. He's not figuring in at all right now. Really.
Yeah, there's a couple factors here when I think about what happened with Malaki. Again, we don't know. He could be playing tonight versus the Pelicans, getting more minutes, but that remains to be seen. But there's the increased usage of Blake Wesley. So there's that. He's getting a lot more time on the court, being a spark plug for the team. Devin Vassell shouted out Blake Wesley for being a part of that big surge against the Magic late in the game for him to almost complete the comeback. And of course, there's that. For a minute there, Vinny, I was saying, if he's just going to right there, just send him to Austin. I'd rather just go to Austin. Get your reps if this was going to continue. But, we mentioned that he got time versus Orlando. Other thing, too, is defensively, that's still up in the air. He's a great shot maker. He can get you a bucket, but, man, and that's the one thing that'll get you in trouble in San Antonio is poor defense. That's still a work in progress, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I like the point you just made there. Remember several years ago, Corey Joseph was thrown into the fire at point guard, and it was clear quick that he wasn't ready. And he was the one that raised his hand and said, hey, send me to Austin, get me those G League minutes to get better. And it worked for him. So I think that's a great point you make. I don't know if that's Malaki needs to raise his hand and say that, or if the Spurs just might, send him down to get those kind of minutes. But I like that thought, because if you're not getting it up with the big club, then you might as well get it somewhere in a season where, as we record this, you're 10-38, and now would be the time, I would think, to get him to Austin if you need to have him learn some things on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, you look at before he got shut down for those few days and up until the Magic game. The last time he had played was against Oklahoma City, 27 minutes. He scored 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and he grabbed 2 steals. So all of a sudden, boom, he's kind of lost in the shuffle. And I think that's what happened. I think you're right. I don't think he was in the doghouse as far as, mouthing off to Pop or just this and that. I think he just fell out because Spurs needed a point guard, and they went to Wesley, and whoa, look at him. He's playing pretty good. Well, the minutes got to come from somewhere, and unfortunately, Malaki was it.
It's remarkable. That's kind of flip-flop. There was a time last year where we were talking just about Malaki. We weren't talking at all about Blake Wesley, and that is totally flip-flopped, and now Blake is in front of him, it appears, in the rotation, and he's earned that. He's played well enough to earn that, and Malaki just may be in a situation where when he gets his chances, almost like an NFL field goal kicker, you got to go out and make immediate good and show him something. So he's going to have to be patient, and when Pop calls his number, he's going to have to produce. Yeah.
And look, his, as much as we forget that these guys, well, we think these guys are pros, and we treat them as if they've been in the league for years. The Spurs roster is still a bunch of young guys. Some of them are not even 21 yet, like Victor, and Malaki, is still a work in progress. He's still a baby for NBA standards. He's still figuring things out. I do like his old man approach game to it. He has an old fashioned game, but there's still areas of his performance, his X's and O's, defense. We know defense, offensively, even that, again, was kind of been a little bit of a struggle, because prior to that game against Oklahoma City, where he scored 11 points, he was struggling at Washington, 2 points, at Charlotte, 0. Didn't even take a 3-point shot, so it's just kind of all over the map. And we have to remember too, Vinny, this team is still in a rebuild mode, and that means player development.
Yeah, and it can be easy to lose some confidence and sort of lose yourself out there with the other four and not feel comfortable to do what you should do. And I'll be the first one to call myself out, because we all do it. We criticize, and that's what we're paid to do. That's what we do, and we talk. But yet, it is still the youngest team in the NBA.
It is.
But they also have to, Brian Wright and Pop, they've got to identify who's going to be on this thing moving forward. So people are still playing for jobs, and it probably is uncomfortable for Malaki that he's not getting enough meaningful minutes, and he's not turning a stat sheet that is warranting him more minutes. But, he's very, very athletic. He can get things done on the basketball court. But it does happen on rosters. Sometimes a guy can get lost and sort of lose his place. We're all rooting for Malaki to get back in there and do the things that we know he can do. But it's a delicate situation when this thing is building, and they're trying to find out what the foundation blocks are. I mean, they know what a few of them are, but they need to find all those guys that can complement. And you think that he can be one of those guys, but he's got to be careful, and he's got to make sure that he does the right things. And defense, again, going back to that, is one of them. I mean, he may want to put the ball in the basket more, but he better commit on that defensive end, and or Pop will not give him what he wants.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, every player has, especially on this roster, is still figuring it out. Wemby, as much as we praise him, and he earns it, but he was part of that turnover issue versus the Magic that cost them a comeback win to slip through their fingers. So I mean, everybody here is developing. And look, Popovich did say a few weeks ago that part of a rebuild is to evaluate roster talent, who's going to stick and who's not. So you're right. These guys on the current Spurs roster, they have to understand that it's Vic's world and they're going to build around it. And you better fit in that moving forward, or you could be new address or maybe out of a job. But, I'm glad that Malaki got some run versus Orlando. I don't care if it was garbage time or, whatever. Just, fine. Get him back out there. Let him get his confidence back, as you mentioned, and let him get going. Hey, Vinny, before I let you go, quick shout out. Finally, Victor won the Rookie of the Month award.
Yeah, that's right.
Finally. I feel like going to this, like, okay, how long? It took you only 2 months, NBA, but okay, here we go. He won it, Vinny.
Very well deserved. I mean, his numbers game by game are just amazing to me. And I've decided that no matter what, the guy is going to get his every night.
He is.
He's almost a walking double-double guarantee every night. I mean, he's going to get his, no matter if they're winning, losing, getting blown out, whatever, who the opponent. He's going to get his points. He's going to get his rebounds. He's going to block shots. I'm convinced of that. It doesn't matter who else is out there with him. He's going to get his every night.
I actually predict that sometime in his career, he'll be the next player to get a quad double.
I can't disagree with that at all.
Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll get it. He'll join David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Alvin Robertson. I forgot who the fourth guy, but there's only been 4 that have done it. And I think he will be the 5th because you're right. He's a walking double-double. He flirts with the triple-double a lot.
All the time.
All the time. It's like right there. And, he'll probably do it kind of like David did. David got it in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. I can see him doing that just like David did. Alvin Robertson was the anomaly in the quad double club. He did his with steals. He got 10 steals on the night. So, but other than that, no, I definitely got there. So congratulations to Wemby, finally, and rightfully so. I think he scored 20 or more points in the entire month except for one game, and that one game was a triple-double. That was a triple-double game. So,
and he's also going to play in the Rising Stars game in All-Star Weekend. So that's another feather in the cap for sure.
By the way, did you think that Sohan got snubbed for the sophomore team?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just so impressed the other night in that Orlando game. The second and third quarters were quarters to forget. But in that first quarter, man, I was so impressed by Sohan. So active and in there and rebounding and creating and finding shooters and scoring himself. Heck of a job. I mean, when I was telling a friend of mine, when Jeremy is on, man, it's fun. When he misses, man, he misses bad. But when he's on, he's on.
He's hot and cold, definitely, for sure. But, when he's, like you mentioned, he's on. I mean, look what happened in that Orlando game. It was him. He was the spark plug, get the team back. And, again, get within range to get the W. But, unfortunately, they came up short. By the way, I did speak to some of the Magic media because Paolo Banchero is on the sophomore team. There's still a chance for Sohan to make it because the rumbling is that if he does become official, NBA All-Star, Paolo may decline the sophomore squad.
There you go.
So that could open up the door. But the only wrench in that is Paolo may advocate for his teammate, Anthony Black. So
of course he will.
So there's that. So, but I mean, still, the door could be open still, maybe a crack because the Spurs will have Wemby there. He's doing the skills challenge. So there's that. And then he's doing the Rising Stars challenge. And then we can't forget Don Barlow will be there too. He's a G League All-Star. So he'll be playing he'll be playing the G League All-Star game on Saturday. So if we can get Sohan there, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, hey, you know what, Sohan, I would use that as fuel for the next time you're on that court. Just be like Vinny and be the Hulk and just rage out on that court. Right, Vinny?
Let's go.
He is Vinnie Vinzetta, my colleague at Ken's 5. Vinny, what is going on in San Antonio sports? What's cooking?
Oh, gosh, a lot of things going on. We had UIL realignment this week. All the high school football teams found out their new home districts for the next couple of years. We've got Super Bowl week on the way, working on a big feature on Spencer Burford, 49ers offensive lineman who played high school ball at Wagner via then UTSA and then drafted by the Niners. So excited for he and his family. I've got a little Super Bowl food menu story working. Get you some creative ideas next week for your Super Bowl Sunday party. And then I sat down. This is going to air the Monday after the Super Bowl. I sat down a few days ago and spending time visiting with former San Antonio Mayor Henry Cisneros. Just really all things NFL. And I know people get sick and tired of hearing about San Antonio and the NFL because the Dallas Cowboys would never allow it. But Mr. Cisneros had some interesting thoughts about how maybe a San Antonio-Austin conglomerate, sort of a new DFW, could someday down the road convince the NFL to come to South Texas. So we'll get his thoughts. That's the Monday night after the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Vinny has it all covered for you, and the best way to check up on what he has going for you is on X at Vinzetta. You see it on your screen right there. Just don't anger him because he's the Hulk and he's the Vin dog, so you want to follow him. Don't upset him. Yeah, exactly. But again, thank you, Vinny, for hopping on Locked On Spurs. We always appreciate it. And we thank you, everybody, for making Locked On Spurs your first and only stop for all things silver and black. We'll be back next week with more stuff. I think next week we'll definitely have Dr. Ryan McCorkle. He'll be coming back talking about Wembayama and so many other great guests. And subscribe to Locked On Sports today, 24/7 streaming sports channel only on YouTube, national, regional, locals. We're all there 24/7 on YouTube. Go subscribe right now, Locked On Sports. But for Vinny, the Vin Dog Vinzetta, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.